Hey everyone, so today is going to be a review that I should have done with the Max Full Coverage Foundation, but instead I'll do it now. I'm actually going to do just a quick demonstration with it because a lot of you are buying it now, or full coverage foundations, and you're still having a little bit of trouble. So I'm just going to take a foundation brush, and this is the 191, and I'm literally just dipping it in, and you've seen me use these with the brush before, you know, the one that buffs it in, so I thought I'd just go through this kind of technique. So I'm literally just applying it to the face. I'm not being, you know, clever with it. I'm just getting it on the skin, and I'm then going to take a sponge and I'm going to take some water, and I'm literally just going to wet the sponge. You want to have a damp sponge with this, it's really important. So again, just wetting the sponge, and I'm taking the product and I'm just applying it all over and blending it out. And the fact that the brush is sponge, the fact that the sponge is wet will actually shear down this product and make it go on nice and sheer, as opposed to it being a really sort of heavy coverage foundation. Because as I've mentioned before, this is really just basically a concealer. So you can achieve really full coverage with it if you want, or you can do what I'm doing and really kind of just shear it out so that it looks just like your skin. So I'm just going to move in a bit closer so you can kind of see. And this matches my skin tone, so you know it's going to look like my skin, only a bit better than it really is. And so that's a really light sort of covering on, and it's kind of covered everything, but let's just go in and do a bit more. I'm going to go directly under the eyes, and I go a bit more on the nose, and a bit more on my forehead and chin. And again, I've hardly used any of this. Make sure that the sponge is damp still. If not, reapply it, re-wet it, and just blend out. And it does, you know, there is sort of the general rule when you're applying foundation is to blend down, but that's just because of the tiny hairs on the face. They tend to look better when they sit down. And again, just finishing this off and going under my eyes. And under there a bit more. So there you have it, and this is how you would apply a really sort of full coverage foundation. And actually I think, because I talk about it, you do need to set foundation, so this is going to show you actually how to set it, and we're going to use a Vela puff, and this one is by MAC. And I'm actually going to use a pressed powder, and I'm going to be using the mineralized skin finish, which looks like this, and I'm just going to apply the puff to the product, and I'm then kind of going to knock it off on the back of my hand because I don't want too much on there. Roll it around your finger, and you literally press and roll. Okay, don't worry if you get too much powder on, because that's what an actual powder brush is for. It's actually really for knocking powder off the face rather than applying it. So make sure you've pressed and roll. You don't do this because then you're just going to remove all your makeup and smudge it. You literally just press it in, and this is how you kind of get that look of having almost no pores, because you're actually pushing the product into the skin. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little bit more, and again, because I really want you to see it. So there's excess powder here where you can see. Now you get a powder brush, so we're just going to use the mud one, the 720, and you then knock off any excess powder that's on the face. So just sweep it off, knock it off, and by doing it this way, and so few people actually set their makeup like this, and most makeup artists will set it like this with this kind of pressing and rolling motion, because your makeup will then be set for the entire day. It just won't budge, it won't move. And yes, you kind of have a matte look to the skin, but that also depends on the kind of powder that you use. So this is a skin finish one which has a kind of double side, one that's slightly shimmery and one that's kind of matte. So, you know, you can sort of pick and choose. And if you are the kind of person that does need a really full coverage foundation, just and without having to sort of shear it down because you've got real skin issues, whether it's scarring or very severe acne, then one of the better things you can do is to try and find a loose or pressed powder that does have a little bit of shimmering, because otherwise the face can look overly matte and overly flat, and that's not something that is, you know, our faces aren't naturally that matte. They do tend to have some form of shine to it. So it is better sometimes to pick a little bit of powder that has just a small amount of shimmer or shine in it, just to sort of put some life back in your face. And that is how you set foundation, by wrapping it around the finger. I tend to use either the middle finger or the pointer finger. And you get the powder on, you always knock it off on the back of the hand, you press and you roll. Just like that. And then you take a powder brush and knock it off. And that's that, nice and simple. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, and take care. Bye. Bye. Actually, just before we finish, I thought I'd show you, I'm actually going to use another pressed powder. This is the Brunette from the Mineralize. And I'm going to take my powder, my Velopuff, knock it off on the back of my hand. I'm just applying some, knocking it off, and I'm then going to press and roll this along my cheeks and kind of the side of my face, because I want to add, I'm also going to press it just around my jawline, because I just want to show you that you can add life and colour back to the skin without having to use, you know, lots of different products. And again, now I'm just knocking off any excess, and actually this is helping to also blend in this powder, which is that colour. So I just want you to see that we've now added a bit of life. You can see it's a little bit shiny, and this area is kind of a little bit darker because we've now sort of gone into almost contouring slightly, more for sort of sculpting the face. So there's lots of ways of doing it, but using a Velopuff is a really good investment, because you can just then chuck it into the washing machine and it's done and it's complete, and you've got it time and time again. You can use it and they'll last you for a long time. So now this is really the end. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.